Not tonight, honey. I'm too tired. This is not just a joke set for a sitcom. This is the lived reality of millions of men out there who have busy lives, work, kids, house, responsibilities, and still want to have sex with their wives, girlfriends, partners, spouses, who are also tired, who also have busy lives with work and children and jobs and houses and taxes and pets to take care of. And yeah, there's a whole lot of things that get in the way of sex. There's a whole lot of things that have to come first. There are. Like, we need to put food on the table. We've got to keep the lights on. We've got to get clothes on our kids' back and get them off to school. And sometimes sex just gets pushed onto the back burner. And before we know it, it's been weeks, even months since we've been intimate. And suddenly it's like code red, level 10, alarm bells ringing. I need to get laid. And then we turn over like last thing at night, or maybe first thing in the morning, or maybe we hop into the shower with our wife, girlfriend, spouse, and we try to get it in, and it's not working. She's not interested. The timing wasn't right, and it's been 4 weeks, so we get to spend more time to turn her on, but now it's going to take 90 minutes instead of 30, and dang it, the kids have got to get to school. This is a all too common problem. So if I'm describing your life or something like it, do not worry. I am here to help you solve the problem of where does sex fit on the calendar. Now, if you've been around this game at all, and by game I mean sex therapy, sex coaching, relationships, personal development, you know that it's a very common recommendation that you should just schedule sex. As if that is not the least sexy thing you could possibly do with sex. And if you already deal with any level of performance anxiety, seeing on your calendar from 5 to 7 on Friday evening, sex time is just a recipe for a buildup of unpleasant anticipation leading towards a less than pleasant and certainly not pleasurable evening that is supposed to contain your entire sex life in these 2 hours. And heaven forbid anything go wrong, because you don't know when the next time sex is going to be on the schedule. It could be like 2 weeks from now. And like that was it. Opportunity missed. This is a recipe for disaster. And it is way too easy for the average sex therapist or sex coach to just say, oh, schedule it. Check that off. Done my job for today. It's not that easy, but it can be. And I am here to share with you exactly how to put the sex back in your life, back in your marriage, back in your bedroom or your kitchen or your desk or your office or the car or whatever. And I'm going to show you how to do it in a way that both makes time for it and keeps it sexy. It's true that if we don't put sex on the calendar, it may not happen. That's a fact, y'all. If we are going to prioritize sex on the same level that we prioritize other things like eating, it needs a space on the calendar. Sex cannot just be left to chance. As many of us have the idea that it's just gonna happen naturally. If you've been watching and subscribed to my channel, first of all, thank you. You will know that it's okay that sex takes work. Sex shouldn't be the one area of our life that never takes any effort. Like, you had to learn how to cook, you had to learn how to do your laundry, you have to learn how to make a great sex life. There is no shame in that. And just like you had to make time to cook, you also have to make time for sex. That said, putting in sex on the calendar removes what a lot of us think of as spontaneity. Like, sex is something that we desire and then we make happen in that moment. We need to be able to kind of follow through on the desire when it is present. And you're absolutely right. Scheduling sex doesn't take away from the potential of having spontaneity. In fact, I actually think that the idea of spontaneity is sort of a made-up one anyways. Because when you were first dating your wife, you didn't like spontaneously have sex with her. You had a date on Friday night for which you showered, shaved, put on cologne, packed condoms in your pocket, and then you spontaneously had sex. It's never been that case. So let's just go ahead and get the idea of like spontaneity has to be the key. It has to be the single most important part of the sex that we're having. It doesn't. And by scheduling it, it's not that we're getting rid of spontaneity, it's just that we're actually creating a space in which we are allowing spontaneity to emerge. More on that in just a second. Because the real challenge for me when I think about scheduling sex in my own life is that at my core, I'm a bit of a rebel. If my hair set channel isn't any indication, I don't really love being told what to do. And I do not like living my life within the 4 square walls of my calendar, my rules, even my obligations and commitments. I do not like even when I tell myself what to do. And so if you're a rebel at all, or if you deal with any sort of anxiety around scheduling, then scheduling sex is not going to let you express yourself as you want to. But even though as much of a rebel as I am and as I identify with, I still am a human woman and I still want to have sexy time with my husband despite all of the other things that are competing for our attention. Therefore, what's a girl to do? What are you to do? What's a guy? What are any of us to do? As you may have already guessed, I have a system and a solution that's going to help you to schedule sex and actually make time for sex. And actually, it's not even about scheduling sex. This is all about making time for intimacy so that you can have the kind of relationship with the connection, both physical and emotional, that you both crave. Here it is, my 5-part system for successfully scheduling sexy time. Number 1, I want you to start off with a list of why you want to prioritize sexy time. This is critical because when it's competing with getting other stuff done, I want you to have this list to go back to remind yourself why you wanted to schedule it to begin with. And you and your partner ideally would both do this. So why is sexy time and sex itself a priority for the two of you? It makes us feel connected. It feels physically good. It relieves tension and stress in my body. And for me anyways, I notice that if I haven't, I can get real cranky and it's almost like hangry. It's like sex hanger. Sex hanger? Yeah. Or a sex over, where you're hungover from your sex hanger. The purpose of the why is because next step number 2, is the two of you are going to brainstorm a bunch of things that help you to accomplish those goals. Things that can include intercourse, oral sex, anal sex, penetration, etc., but can also include sexy massages. Could also include maybe eye gazing, doing yoga, working out together, hot tubbing together, taking a shower together, exchanging love letters, exchanging sexy text messages. The purpose of this list is to gather a bunch of ideas for what you can do during sexy time outside of just get together and bump uglies. The reason that you need this list and the reason that I want you to make it like really expansive and really, really creative, even if it's just like tie each other down and tickle each other with feathers, is that when you get together then, during your scheduled sexy time, it's not just a single option of what we're gonna do. Okay, we're gonna like get together, we put this much time, we just are gonna penetrate until there's orgasms, or maybe there's not, or maybe there's premature ejaculation, or maybe there's delayed ejaculation, or maybe there's erectile dysfunction, or maybe she can't get wet, or maybe she doesn't reach orgasm. Oh, it's too much. It's too much pressure. So instead of just having one option, we're going to create a list of options that all meet the reasons why we care about and why we're scheduling sexy time to begin with. So that's step 1 and 2. Step 3 is put a bunch of times on the calendar. When there is just one time on the calendar, and that is it, like that's the hour slot that we've given sex every single week, it doesn't leave any time for all of the realities of life. It does not leave you the opportunity to have a tummy ache, or to have a kid with a tummy ache, or to randomly get a period a couple days early, or to have had a bad day at work, or to be dehydrated, or whatever. If that's the only time on the calendar, then you, my friend, are if anything goes wrong. And the purpose of this is not to put more pressure on sex and sexy time, it's to actually put less. So I want you to put a whole bunch of different times on the calendar. And it can be 15 minutes, it can be an hour, it could be 3 hours. You can put one on the weekend, one on a weekday evening, and one on a weekday morning. It can be short little segments of time punctuated by some longer times. The purpose of this is because it's not always going to work perfectly and you need to have backup times. I recommend that you put a minimum of 2 times every week with a goal of hitting one of those times and a stretch goal or a bonus of getting to both of them. Again, remember that you have a whole list of activities. So it's not just like we're gonna have penetrative sex 2 times this week. It might be one time, yeah, penetrative sex with orgasms, awesome. And the other time is just solo time for massages and physical intimacy. We're gonna break out the coconut oil and we are going to create a little human slip and slide. And we're gonna do that on laundry day because then we're gonna rip off the sheets and we're gonna take them directly into the washer. But bam! Come at your wife with that plan instead of, hey babe, can I just get it in twice this week? And I think you're gonna hear a pretty enthusiastic yes. Which brings me to step number 4. When the time comes, prioritize intimacy and pleasure over sex. Listen, penetrated sex, sex is great. All the different kinds. It's what the whole channel is devoted to, if we're being honest. But if we're focused strictly on that, then there are any number of things that can go wrong that can leave us feeling super frustrated. If you experience any sort of performance anxiety or she experiences anxiety about sex, having that be the only option on the menu, it's just not a very good goal because we want to set ourselves up for success. And so if the goal is intimacy and pleasure, then we could just do nipple play for 30 minutes and that can create a lot of intimacy and a lot of pleasure. Or we can do anal play without penetration for 30 minutes and that can create a lot. Do you see where I'm going with this? If you prioritize intimacy and pleasure, you will almost never go wrong. You have to really try to mess that up. But if your goal is always penetration to orgasm, there's a lot of things that can get in the way and actually make that less fun. And let's say that the goal is intimacy and pleasure and we start off with some like really awesome play and then it turns into penetration and then it turns into orgasms. Hooray! Fantastic. I love those things. And if it doesn't make it there, it's still a win. So we're not ruling out traditional, normal, whatever sex typically looks like. We're leaving space for that, but we're not making it the goal. And when it's not the goal, oh my gosh, it opens up a whole lot of opportunities for other fun time activities. Can you tell I'm from the Midwest by the way that I just said, oh my gosh? Oh my gosh, Bob. I just had so much fun pleasuring you, and thank you so much for making some time to pleasure me. That's definitely the first accent I've done on this channel, and it's the only accent I feel confident enough to share with you at this time, and it's just because that's my homeland. Those are my people. Not mine, but oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Go get the bags. Bags. Put the socks in the bags. And here's a bonus tip. Number 5 is make it into a game with rewards. If you've heard a little bit about game theory, or if you recall the joy, the pure exuberance that you felt when you got a gold star next to your name, this is the same feeling that we are going for. We are going to celebrate our wins here, folks. So on a calendar month, let's say that you have 10 sexy times scheduled, and your goal is to hit at least 4 of them. And if you do have some pleasure and intimacy in all 4, or at least 4 of the times that you had scheduled, you both get to get a couples massage. That is an awesome goal. Or maybe it's that you both are going to go out to a movie together or a date at a fancier restaurant than you otherwise would. Set a goal with a reward and then reward yourself. And I'm going to want to see a lot of high fives between couples in the comments. Boom, boom, we did that. I want to know that you've been high-fiving, because if we're not celebrating our successes, if we're not focused on our successes and what we are celebrating, I guarantee you're going to focus on your losses and what's not happening. And instead of seeing that you had intimacy 4 times this month and how awesome that is considering how busy you are, you're going to focus on the fact that we didn't have sex yesterday. I know that because I see you. I know you. I work with you, or at least people like you, every single day. I have to remind some of my male clients that they even had sex recently. They'll be like, oh, it's just, I'm in the dumps. We haven't had sex in forever. And I go, is that true? When's the last time you had sex? I guess it was last week. And she initiated. And I lasted longer than you. You're right, Caitlin. Cause for celebration. Anyways, you see where I'm going with this. If you don't constantly remind yourself of the successes, your brain has been trained to focus on the failures. And that, my friends, is the last thing that we want to bring into sexy time. A couple bonuses for y'all Number one is you can think about sexy time in as little as like 5 or 10 minutes. And that can include sending nasty pictures or sexy reminders of kinky stuff we did last week or whatever. Think about it in little spurts of time. Once I was attending an event and someone told me that they purposely send all of their kids to take out the trash every single week, and they use that time to just get kinky, nasty, and naughty for like 3 to 4 minutes. They had a long driveway. This was in Texas. And they would send their kids out, and they could literally see from the window that the kids were walking down this long driveway. They knew that no kids were left in the house. And he would instantly tell his wife to get on her knees, start sucking him, start bend over, take a spanking. Like, they were doing nasty stuff for like 5 minutes at a time. And this is so thrilling. This is how we regain novelty in our sex life. It's not like we're gonna have full-blown sex for 30 minutes. It's like, for the next 3 minutes, I'm gonna spank you and make you call me daddy. Hey! And finally, one note for those of you who experience any sort of performance anxiety about this, I want you to think about skill advancement. Think about each opportunity that you've scheduled sex as a chance for you to work on one specific skill, whether that's breathing or releasing tension in the body or something that you are personally working on. Maybe one of the practices that you learned from my courses, Come When You Want, on lasting as long as you want in bed, or She Comes Too, on being the best lover she's ever had. In both of those courses, both of those master classes, there are tons of techniques and skills. So you could pick one from either one of my master classes and just focus on that for the next couple sessions that you have scheduled on the calendar. And if you're focused on skill development as opposed to focused on the performance anxiety or the thing that you believe is wrong, you will have opportunity and ample opportunities to keep getting better. And that is what I want you to focus on. So we've covered a lot of grounds today. I hope that you found this to be useful. If you did, give me a thumbs up or a like and subscribe to this channel so that you never miss any of the grade A, fine, top shelf information on how to make sure that you have the best sex life ever. Thanks, guys. Bye. I'll see you on our sexy time schedule, which is on this channel every single week. Oh my God, did I just stick out my tongue at you? I'm really feeling myself today.